Welcome to the Global Goals Studio. We're digging into the UN Sustainable Development Goals and talking leadership in unprecedented times. I'm here with Amina Mohammed, the UN's Deputy Secretary General. Technology drives so much of modern life today. Can you tell us what is the impact of technology in pursuing the SDGs?
It's a great connector. Technology is the one tool that we have today which connects, which puts a little bit more muscle behind the objective of inclusivity. When we say we want everyone to be included in an economy, in education, technology is going to be the means which we are going to connect the world, and everyone has to have access to that. As we've tried to respond to COVID, that's been what we're focusing on, is how can we do that in education, where kids are now online because they're out of school. But in fact, in the future, perhaps that is the way that people will access education and skills in when we reimagine education. But it's also important for the informal economy, where women and the very vulnerable are in those groups, and you're trying to find a way to bring them into the formal economy. So, you know, as a whole, we can move forward together. And that technology also plays a big role there for the most vulnerable.
Talking of technology, Deputy Secretary General, what's the role of data here in tracking progress to the goals? Do we actually have an agreed set of metrics even to know how far along we are?
Well, the one good thing about shaping the goals, that we did come out with the 17 goals, but we also came up with a number of targets and indicators for the goals. Of course, the challenge is that we don't have sufficient data points in a disaggregated way to make sure we're not leaving anyone behind, which is the whole, story of inclusion. And so when we a few days ago launched the SDG Moment, that was where the gray areas were, to say we can't measure everything, and so we need to do better at getting those disaggregate figures so that we know where our women are, where the girls are that are not accessing education or basic health services, how we can connect these informal businesses. Is it agriculture? Which types of industry? What are we speaking about? So data, there is a huge gap, and I think unless we get that right, measuring the progress will be difficult. But I think even more important, we won't be able to see where the people are that need the investments. When we've got a stimulus package today in a developing country, and you want to influence the way that money is being spent on social protection, the first thing you have to know is, where are those people? Right down at the local level of the communities, and without that disaggregated data, be difficult. So we've got global aggregates, but not good enough when you want to make the investments and you really want to get down to, so did we leave anyone behind when we try to achieve these goals?
Mrs. Mohammed, I just want to pull up one of your tweets from the archives. It's from 2017. You tweeted out your job description, and what you wrote is, your job is to build a world where every girl and boy has the tools and support to make their dreams a reality. Given the extraordinary challenges that we face right now, would you amend that description, or does it still stand? If so, what would you change it to?
No, I wouldn't change it. I mean, I think you still have to go for gold. That's what we have to do. All we need to do now is to dig deeper, more partnerships, much bigger reality check to our leaders to say that, look, COVID has just opened up what has already been there, a reality that things have been exacerbated by climate change, by poverty, by inequalities, by the fact that women are treated less when they represent 50% of the positive side of the resources we have in this world to do the jobs we need to do. So I'd still say that that's my job. It's just that it'll be 24/7 now.
Well, certainly COVID has turned life upside down. Maintaining optimism can be extremely difficult at times. What would you say to young people today, actually any age? How should people keep up their morale?
Well, I mean, sometimes they look to the UN and say, well, you're failing, you don't know what you're doing, you're not able to help us. But I would say to them, for the UN, the reality is pretty miserable on a lot of days this time, and the aspiration's still great. It's the 2030 agenda. There's a gap, and so we have to work each day to close that gap. And so my message to young people is that think of this as a journey, and each step of the way, do the best that you can to put your best foot forward. And that could be done individually or collectively. The way you consume, the way that you contribute to your environment, or the collective momentum or advocacy that you do to get laws through that protect women from violence, or that get more girls into school.
Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, thank you so much for taking time today. I know it's an exceptionally busy week for you. Thank you for joining the Global Goals Studio.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you. You've been watching the Global Goals Studio. Thank you for spending your time with us. We'll be back tomorrow.